So our next guest, Don Bennion, is behind a lot of it. He leads strategy and operations for enterprise AI at Adobe, and his team decides which AI use cases to chase now, how to measure what's working, when to double down, when to walk away. So that's his day-to-day work. So excited to have him join Greg to unpack how Adobe balances quick wins, moonshots, etc. Greg, you're up again.
Thank you, Don. Welcome. By the way, full disclosure, Adobe is a customer of Section. Don, someone's been slacking me just this past minute saying, "Be nice. He's a customer." I can't guarantee that.
Go hard, Greg.
All right. If you heard me earlier, we like to go high-low at Section. We like to zoom out and talk about where's this going and the implications for leaders and organizations. That's the high, and we like to go low, meaning what's really happening on the ground. How's this shit work, or why is it not working, and how can we help others? You've gone early, and I think it's a responsibility of those of us who went early to share that knowledge, and maybe not with competitors, or not too much with competitors, but to share, right? So others who are trying to affect this transformation can learn from you. So we really appreciate you joining us today. And I'd love for you, and I think we should put the slide up, Don. You had a slide I saw around the 6 primary challenges. I just think we should use the next half hour or most of the time to walk through those challenges, because I just think they're so relevant to all of us. And I love the fact you started with sales, because I think that we all want more effective salespeople. No CEO would say, "Give me less salespeople," if they're hitting their quota, right? And so if AI can help sales organizations, go-to-market organizations be more effective, that's going to be a great ROI, great business model, and maybe be the tip of the spear for further AI adoption. So let's just take these one at a time. Maybe take 2 or 3 minutes for each one, and
Sure.
And I'm going to prompt you, and we'll use the slide as a guide. So align on standards. Align on standards and strategy. So let's split those apart. What do you mean by standards? And then we'll talk about strategy, which I assume means like, why are we doing this? But let's talk about, what do you mean by standards?
Yeah. So at Adobe, so first of all, let me just say, it's thrilling to be here. Greetings from the trenches of AI innovation and AI transformation. I know a lot of people are in here with me, so I'm just thrilled that all these folks are here. I hope something I share today is helpful, and that it triggers an idea for all of you, and that we can learn together. So I'm pretty radical in my candor, so I'm happy to share the good, the bad, the ugly, and get very candid here on what
Awesome.
It looks like here at Adobe. So look, Adobe has really clear standards when it comes to how we use AI and what we use it for, and how we see it transforming our company early on, when it comes to transparency, when it comes to how we use data, what data we can use. And so we have this team, it's called AI at Adobe, that really oversees kind of loosely all AI innovation that's happening across the company. Right now, I'm leading AI innovation and AI adoption and AI transformation for sales, but we have some standards that really guide everything that we do. And whenever we're doing an experiment or we're trying out a new use case, we're really looking at, like, how does this conform with our standards? How are we using data? What data are we using? And everything goes through that. It's really been a guiding document for us.
Awesome. And then, so does that document include the strategy, which is what I call the why of AI, or just talk more around the strategy and how much is it corporate versus at the function level, like in your case, sales, or even further down to a specific team in sales? Like, tell me about AI strategy at what level?
Yeah, so it is fairly high level. There's a strategy overall for Adobe, right? Where we're like, hey, we're going to create an AI movement at Adobe. And we talk about what that looks like overall, and then it cascades down. In sales, let me just say, it's very clear that this must move the needle. Like, we're not doing AI for AI. We're not doing AI just because we know AI is going to transform everything. AI needs to be driving value. And the goal for us this year is shifting from experimentation to actually driving that value. And if that doesn't happen this year, Greg, then I'm going to be throwing my LinkedIn on this chat and looking for my next job.
Give me a call. Give me a call.
Yeah. I'll give you a call. Yeah. But no, we have to be driving the value, and we have to be proving it out this year.
Yeah, but let's double click on that, Don. So let's specifically sales. So will value be measured by like time saved or, productivity gain, that idea the previous Robin speaker talked about opening up, sort of capability in terms of time, hours, or is it that needs to get converted into, we closed more, we sold more. So maybe it's, rep attainment or percentage, so whatever your measurements are, quota attainment by rep. Like, just walk us through. I know it's early, so maybe it's one thing
Yeah.
now, later, it's got to be more dollars and cents. I don't know. Walk us through
Yeah.
ROI.
Let me tell you, this is one of the, I'd say, biggest challenges for us in the sales organization. So just so everybody knows, the side of Adobe that I work on is enterprise sales. We sell large multi-million-dollar deals often. Our sales cycles are 6 to 12 months to sometimes even longer. So being able to see how AI is driving effectiveness there is difficult. And when you're looking at what's driving revenue for the business, there's usually 1,000 things happening at once, and nothing can really take credit for it. So a couple things. First of all, when we look at how this business is performing, we do hold ourselves to those high-level metrics. What is rep attainment, right? What is deal velocity? What is the average sales cycle? Our efforts, when we're specifically looking at the use cases we're trying to drive, we're looking at how does this ladder up to those types of metrics. And what we don't want to be doing is being tone deaf. We don't want to kind of say, take a victory lap. Look at all this AI innovation we've produced. Look at all of this stuff. Look at all these shiny new objects. And if the business isn't performing, or if we're not seeing that translate into performance, nobody really cares. So we need to kind of like hold ourselves to that standard and follow, in some ways, the tone, and hold ourselves accountable to the same metrics that our leadership is. That being said, don't underestimate the value of adoption, real adoption. So conversations with our SVP of sales, our CRO, essentially, we're saying, look at this tool. Your sellers, this is a brand new tool that they are not required to use. Thousands of them are using it. They wouldn't be doing that if that is not driving value for them. And then we talk about how we're going to make sure that this is driving value for the overall bottom line, but this is saving them time. Well, that's good if it's saving them time, if it's going somewhere else, or if they're able to use that to drive more.
Right. I mean, I agree. And is that what you're seeing? So you're seeing across the sales org that a lot of people using it, which is good. And either anecdotally or qualitatively through survey, however you're doing that, maybe just, hang out with salespeople on Zoom. They're saying things like, yeah, it's saving me time. It's making me a little more effective, right? Because that's everything in sales, right? To make a seller that much more effective, save an hour. Yeah, maybe they might go walk the dog, but they spend that extra hour prospecting. That's going to be good. I mean, that's going to turn up eventually, right? In the revenue. Is that what you're hearing from salespeople?
Look, it has to. So it is kind of what we're hearing. So here's what we're hearing, Greg, or here's what we're seeing. Tool A, great adoption. Tool B, we were very excited about, very low adoption. Tool C, medium adoption. Tool D, very high adoption. One of the issues that we have, Greg, is that there are a lot of experiments that are happening at Adobe. There are a lot of different tools. And so we can't really talk about like, hey, people are adopting AI. We're like, are people adopting our, this document generator? Right. Are they adopting this tool that helps them, look at their pipeline? Like, which of these are actually driving value? And we're getting that specific, and we're trying to drive each one of these like a very specific product and project, and we're looking at the value of it, and that's what we're evaluating.
I love that. So let's go there for a moment, Don. This is maybe on the list of 6, maybe not. But as you think about tools, curious just how you think about, am I buying a net new tool, or am I deploying an AI capability that's inside of an existing tool I might already use? Just how do you guys think about that? Is it driven by the use case? Is it driven by cost? Is it driven by, is the AI native tool that much better maybe than the existing SaaS product that added some AI? Just curious how you think about, introducing new tools and selecting them, I guess.
Yeah, so I think, first of all, it starts with the use case for us. So rather than getting enamored with tools, we have to be enamored with the problem that we're trying to solve, right? We're like, we know that our sellers are spending hours every week reviewing their deals. That's a problem we think AI can solve, rather than I'm excited about this new shiny object.
Yeah.
Every single one of those problems, we then almost have a build by partner type of discussion. Are we going to build this ourselves, Are we going to, partner with somebody or acquire, we're not looking at buying a new company, but buying their technology
Yep.
is
Yep.
really what we're looking at. And honestly, I prefer to use third-party technology where possible.
Sure.
Unless this is something that Adobe is differentiated in building and doing ourselves, or unless the use case is so specific that really a generic off-the-shelf third-party tool isn't going to work, we really like to use those third-party tools. That being said, there are quite a few that we are building ourselves. There is experiments that we're running, and there's been instances where we start building something and then we find that somebody's doing it better from a third party, or that they have a really differentiated offering there, and we scrap kind of what we've been doing and we go with that third party. So
that last part you just said, I think, is really insightful and relevant, which is like there's so much AI being built that you could start to build something and realize, oh, there's someone else is building it better, likely, and just having the courage, right, to ignore the sunk cost and sort of admitting that we're probably better off not continuing to build. Like that's not easy to do, I would imagine, right? But it seems like the right thing to do.
I would say it's probably my most important learning over the last year, right? There's all of these teams and technologies that in some ways I fall in love with. I'm like, wow, look at them. Look at this innovation that they've built. It's really important to not get married to the solution, right? You have to constantly evaluate and reevaluate. We've been building, we were building a tool that automated the creation of use cases, or not use cases, business cases. We knew that when there was a business case involved that sales went up, we struggled with this one.
Yeah.
And we had to at some point say, hey, we're going to walk away and we're going to use a different piece of technology here.
Yeah.
We were building particular tools that helped our sales team internally, help them qualify leads. We saw third parties that were potentially doing this better, and we're looking at some third parties. So always be ready to shift and prioritize. The one thing I'll say is no matter what your answer is right now, at some point in the future, it's likely going to be wrong, right? It's probably right now. And so go forward. But once again, the problem is really what you're married to. And as soon as you discover that you're wrong, consider that a win and go find that next thing. But this stuff is changing so quickly. You really
So
have to be
I just want to highlight that for everybody. I mean, Don just dropped some major, major knowledge bomb there. Like, and let me try to summarize for all of us. If you've picked the right use case, the right problem, which is what Don said you need to start with, not the tech, but start with the problem. If you've got the right problem, then start solving it. And if you're solving it in the wrong way, meaning there's a better way to solve it later, that's okay, and be willing to make the change. But because you focused on the right problem. And I just want to use a section case study as a representation of this. Prof AI, which we released to consumers last month, it's free for consumers, prof.ai. That's the third time we've built it. We had to throw away the first two. They just didn't work well enough. But we thought we had the right problem, and we are convinced we do. But we had to basically rebuild it. And so I think, Don, that's an example of what you're saying, which is if you focus on the right problem, solve it as best you can, and then likely keep improving that solution. That might mean changing vendors or changing the app or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I love that.
Don't underestimate how painful that is, Greg. You've been through that.
Sure.
You're like, you get married to something. You're like, it's hard. People have built it. There's feelings involved. There's personalities. There's emotions. And to learn how to be able to dispassionately together all commit to, hey, we're going to do the right thing. We're going to do the right thing for the customer, which for us is sales and their customers. And we're all married to doing the right thing. And we decide that together is really, really important, because it's easy for things to feel like there's winners and losers here. And everybody in their career wants to feel like they're winning. Everybody wants to feel like, hey, the thing I did is changing the business. And look, what you're building right now will for a little while, likely that's going to change. And so
that's
be ready to make those hard calls.
Let's focus on, Don, let's jump to number 4, change management. Just riff for us on your lessons over the last year or more around this, because this, to me, seems where a lot of AI is stalling in organizations where the training was rolled out and no one really thought about, well, it's not just the training, it is the change management. So this is one of your issues you wanted to talk about. Tell us about your learning.
I mean, my learning is that the tech is hard and change management is harder. So if you're going to look at really the long pull in the tent, it's the change management. At Adobe, one of the big issues that we had is that there's a lot of people building a lot of really interesting things. Like a lot of things were happening, Greg, that I just wasn't even aware of. Like I now lead AI for sales, and that change management. There's still tools and teams that are popping out of the woodwork. It's overwhelming for our sales team when people are just throwing tools over the wall and saying, I've got something. Now I've got something. Now I've got something. It's just so unfocused. The other thing too is when you're talking about a tool, hey, look what I've built. We have a cool tool. It's called Fluffy Jaws, right? What a name. And people want to talk about Fluffy Jaws. Hey, you should use Fluffy Jaws. Fluffy Jaws is the tool. We cannot be describing technology and tools to our users. We have to be talking about value. What is the value for them? And we have to be speaking together in one voice. If you have 50 different groups or 7 different groups within your organization talking to the same people about all of their shiny technology, you're just not going to drive that change. It's really change in behavior. It's embedding it deeply into what they're doing. And it's really being very clear on the value this is going to drive. And that can be really difficult when you've built, a chatbot on top of a data set. Go use my chatbot. What problem is it going to solve? Go use Copilot from Microsoft. What problem and for what use case? We really have to get specific, and we have to get into their shoes, understand their problem at a deep level, and help them understand how this is going to solve that problem.
And Don, would you just, if you had to guess, or maybe you've thought about this more directly, or let's just kind of brainstorm here. If you thought about it, maybe let's use sales. Let's keep with sales in terms of our target user. How many new AI assisted workflows or changed workflows would you think about introducing to a salesperson or a sales team? And let's use the 12-month time horizon. So it's January 1st, next year. Like what's their capacity to accept how much change? Is it sort of 1 a month? Is it 2 a year? And when you think about, okay, this is a new way of doing this. You're already doing this, and we want to show you the new way, and we have this expectation that you'll get value from the new way, and so you'll keep doing it because you'll see the value. But how much change is it? Yeah, how much new workflows do you think the average human, the average knowledge worker, or salesperson can handle in a year?
I'm being charged with my leadership to produce 2 new key innovations per quarter. That's one of the things I'm measuring. 2 per quarter.
Okay.
And let me just say,
deploy.
Greg,
so create and deploy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Create and deploy. That's right now. That's kind of, so that's going to be 8 this year. We're going to beat that.
Okay.
And let me just say, it's too much.
Right.
It's too much for the sales team.
Right.
It's already too much. And now I'm being asked, okay, what are the 3, right? What are the 3 that are going to really, that you're going to put a lot of wood behind the arrow on? And now we've narrowed that, 12 or so that we're looking to do down to, we couldn't get it to 3, it's 5 or so, but it's a lot. And you're not the only one driving change management in AI. They have new territories. There's other new tools. They're changing CRM systems, all of those things. And you have to think about how do all of these things work together? Right? There's been instances where there's 6 different trainings at the same time on our salespeople's calendar. And we have to make sure we're all aligned and that we're driving overall change management for our, for our customers, in my case, sales. And this is still a nut that I'm trying to crack. And this is probably where I'm spending the most time.
Yeah, I want to highlight for everybody, because that's just there's a lot of experience you're sharing with us around, you could see 10 or more. We can all probably see, 20, 30 sometimes potential use cases, right, of AI for our specific team, for our organization. And you're saying, yeah, you had a list, clearly 10 or more, and trying to get that down to maybe 5 or 6, and then you're realizing it might just be 3. I mean, that's just, but the 3 that matter, that's just so important. I want everybody else to hear that and to learn from that, because that'll give you the wins. If you're not, we want to be ambitious with AI, but not delusional is how I think about it, right? And I think what you're saying is, pick a small number of high value wins where you can actually affect the change and change the workflow. And so I want to, Don, talk to you a little bit about what Ravin talked about, our last guest, around sort of really decomposing the work, understanding what the work is before introducing or deciding even to introduce the technology, in this case AI. And is that how you think about it? And who does that? Is that what you're doing in terms of for the sales organization, or like who was going in and understanding how something was being done today? With existing workflow, existing platforms, maybe, Salesforce or whatever it might be, or, whatever the tools are, and then, and in order to redesign it with the AI, like, how's that happen?
Yeah. We have a group, we call it the Coalition of the Willing, right? AI is happening in pockets all over. And we've kind of pulled this group together. It's sales ops. There's a bunch of other different folks in that organization, all of whom are building this. Every single use case that we build starts with, who is this for? How do they do their job today? And what is incredibly unhelpful is just throwing a new tool across the transom. And you're like, hey, here's a new tool. Once again, there's 60 tools that our sellers have to use. The first thing we're trying to understand is, how do they do this job today? Can we embed generative AI in their workflow today? So that's kind of option number one. If we can't, then how do we start to pull a lot of these together into a single view or a single tool, right? We have a project that we're doing where, we have probably now 15 to 20 experiments that have either been done or worked on. How do we pull all of these together into one interface, to one tool that they can say, hey, for my AI tools, I go to one place rather than having to figure out many. But really making sure, understanding for each person within the selling organization, what are the tools they use? How are they being measured? What are they doing on a day-to-day basis? And we get a lot of that through interviewing the leadership there. And then that we use to prioritize, where are we going to get the biggest bang for our buck, automating something here, automating a deliverable. So that's how we do it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Don, do you think about it as, I'm looking for the highest value use case, meaning if I could move the needle on it, it would, get great return, but maybe not a lot of people do it? Or are you looking for use cases that a lot of people do it, and if I move the needle just a little bit, in aggregate, that'll be a lot? You know what I mean? Like, do you think about it that way, which is pick a small number, but there's such leverage, even if only it's sales ops. Like, the sales reps won't get value, but the sales ops people will, but they'll get so much value it's worth doing, versus doing something that maybe incrementally helps a lot of people? Or is it both?
It's both. And that's where it's kind of like, you have to balance this, and you have to balance across the different personas that you're doing this for. And once again, the measurement is key. A little bit for a lot is the same as a lot for a little. So we do both of those things for sure. And the other thing about the balance that I'll say is, so many people are wanting to talk about like how AI is going to deeply and fundamentally transform everything that we do. And I kind of sit on that boat. Right? I believe that. But I'd say 80% of our time right now is spent trying to get the hearts and minds of the people. If we're spending all of our time, talking about how this is going to, upend everything or completely transform what we do, it's going to be hard to get that change management. It's going to be hard to get a coalition of people that are leaning in with you. Solve problems that they're working on right now. Teach them. Right? A lot of people, like we talked about before with Raven, a lot of people are worried about what this means for their jobs, and they have every right to be. And I think listening to them, understanding where they're coming from, acknowledging that. But then the reality, right? Bringing back to reality, we don't know exactly what the future will hold. What we know right now is that there are use cases that that can solve your problems right now, and that in order to be the best seller, you should be adopting these tools. It will help you be more effective. It'll help you be more efficient. It'll help you drive deals more quickly. Understanding how this will help them now, we find really, really important. And then spending 20% on those big moonshots. Go ahead.
Yeah, is that anxiety getting in the way, in your perspective? Not necessarily at Adobe, but just your, what's your vibe on this? Is that workforce anxiety getting in the way? And what could leaders be doing differently or saying differently to try to mitigate that?
Yeah, once again, I think acknowledging it rather than debating it is probably more effective, right? Oh, it's not going to be this way. Oh, it's going to, we're going to evolve to the next thing, right? Let me speak peace to your heart. I think once again, just meeting people where they are and acknowledging them and saying, yeah, like, we don't know.
Right.
And then,
Some honesty, some transparency, like some just be authentic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and just once again, and acknowledging that they're coming from a place of intelligence rather than debating them on it and trying to say, actually, I have a better point of view. Right? It's
Right.
really hard to change hearts and minds there.
Yep.
But if you're like, hey, yeah, I get this, and who knows, right?
Mhm.
This is an exciting and fun thing to debate. We all love to do it, and maybe at a different time, that's a fun conversation to have.
Right. Right.
But in the meantime, I think helping them understand what one thing that's not debatable is that AI is going to help you do your job right now, right? And I've got a use case that I think can really help you. And let me help you understand that. And whatever happens with AI, leaning into it and you understanding it and becoming more proficient at it will only be to your benefit. I think most people nod at that rather than debating kind of those, the very far endpoints, which are fun to talk about, but less
Sure.
productive in my mind.
Yeah, I agree. Don, what's your expectation of leaders in terms of their own use of AI? When you think about, I'm talking about senior leadership now in organizations. Do you
Yeah,
expect them to be using it every day and modeling this behavior? Just curious what you think.
it's my desire. And I would say some of our leaders do that and some of them don't.
Got it. Yeah.
But I'm not waiting for them. I think all of our leaders say the right things, and that's what I expect, right? Which is AI is coming and it's important, and AI is going to transform our business. I expect them to adopt AI when I provide them tools that
Mhm.
are valuable, right? I'm not expecting them to adopt AI just to adopt AI, but I've
Yep.
provided valuable tools and I expect them to adopt it. Where I've found the most bang for the buck driving change is less getting the, second or third level VP telling everybody, hey, I want you to do this, and getting the hearts and minds of the frontline managers. Those are the people that are actually driving the change. Those are people who really understand like how the work is being done. And they're the ones who will give radical, candid feedback on this is working, this is not working. And when it is working, they are like all in. I'm not getting any pushback from that group, except your tool sucks, improve it, which is music to my ears. Let's figure that out and let's improve what we're doing. But my experience is those frontline managers are really key to driving the actual adoption and change, and especially the type of change that's going to drive results.
Maxwell, I know we're doing a summary of all the best advice and insights. Let's make sure we capture that one. That's needs to be on the slide. Frontline,
Noted.
right? This battle is I think Don is really spot on there. The battle is going to be won and lost, I think, in terms of change management and kind of seeing ROI at that level. I love that. I do want to go back. We have a couple minutes, Don. I want to go back to that coalition of the willing. I'm curious how you pulled them together. Is it people volunteering? Are you tapping people on the shoulder? Is it a mix? And go back to maybe sort of a while ago when that first, that group first kind of formed, right? You're along now, but when you think about those early days, where'd those people come from, and or who were you looking for to be in that group?
It's honestly one of the most inspiring parts of this job for me, Greg. So a lot of people are just passionate about AI. A lot of them are sitting here on this call, right? They're not being assigned to it. I was assigned to it. I'm like, this is my full-time job. This is my job description. But a lot of people are like, look, I'm passionate about this. And I think it can do certain things better. And so I found those people, right, that were doing stuff, that were building things. And honestly, we just got them all together. And I cannot emphasize this enough. We all want to be AI champions. We all want this to further our career. If you're not careful, that can get in the way of really working well together with everybody else. We're not here to compete on AI. Everybody. There's so much opportunity that's just falling on the ground. There's plenty for everyone. If you can work together with people, leverage their ideas, amplify and magnify what they're doing, right? And then find that white space where you can work alongside them. But be their champion. Acknowledge them, recognize them. That will pay dividends for your career in AI and your ability to make change with AI in your organization more than anything. If you're a lone wolf and you're doing this all by yourself, I'm sorry to say your likelihood of success is just not going to be there. Don't let your ego get in the way or your desire for your own recognition get in the way from making the right decision and being the change agent within your company that's really bringing people together, making them feel comfortable that when I work with this person, look, I'm going to get credit. I'm going to, my work is going to be magnified and amplified. They're not going to take credit for it. That they're really here to kind of magnify everybody else. So that idea of really building this coalition of the willing and amplifying others, I just think that is so important with AI. And I've seen it from time to time in pockets where people are like, no, this is mine. Don't touch it. No, I need credit for it. No, this is my career next move. And I feel like that's getting in the way of them really shining within the organization like they should. And over again, not just in AI, I just think that approach is one that pays dividends in your career over time more than anything else. So
loved it. I love this. We're getting AI leadership advice and career advice, and I think it's right. I think Don is right on here, guys. Lead and then step in the background, right? Kind of go back and forth. Be a leader when needed, and then step behind. Kind of what we want AI to do, right? We want AI to eventually sort of be in what we do, not be the reason we're doing it.
Amen.
Love it, Don. Appreciate you joining us today, and hopefully you felt like we treated you well as a customer.
Thanks for all you're doing. We have these tools that we're building, that we're driving specific enablement on, but there's a ton that just needs to happen for our customers to understand and our sellers to understand AI in general. We do not have time to do that. That's why we've partnered with you guys, and it's been incredibly valuable in just upping the game of our sellers and helping them just not be afraid of AI and be able to go to their customers and feel like, hey, I'm using stuff, I'm trying stuff, and speak with confidence. So yeah, it's been a great partnership, and thank you. And what an awesome group. I haven't been following the chat at all, but when I've been watching, it's been fun just to see people interacting and just in this together. I feel kind of kinship with everybody here. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Come back. We'll invite you back. Thank you.